and welcome back to the program here on Morning Thailand with me and Palada Mungsiri.
And of course, Wanason. Now, Kun Bo, let's call ourselves Bo and
Okay,
Golf. It's going to
okay.
be easier. Because they're going to be like, okay.
That's a little bit too long. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, to continue with the news that you previewed earlier here about the case of the ex-national shooter here in the country, and it turns out...
Let's take a look at the the NACC questioning the doctor
Yes, we should.
first.
Okay, how about the doctor before
Right.
that case? Another preview. Anyways, to mention about the case of the doctor. Now, this is the dean of the Vajira Payaban Hospital, and it turns out that he was found guilty of stealing state property.
Like, what did he steal?
I have no idea, but the thing is, he stole state property for the use of his daughter's wedding.
Yeah, sometimes people
Yeah.
save costs in a very weird way.
Yeah.
I wonder what's in the hospital that could use in a wedding.
I have no idea, but this was a case that was basically filed and also finalized after 2 years.
So that's his
coming
face
from
right there.
the complaint of the group of the Vajira Payaban supporters, claiming that Dr. Taiwan Jarean Choktawi here basically stole, I guess the utilities and maybe equipments, right?
know.
Of the state property there. And he was also the dean of the Vajira Payaban Faculty of Medicine at the then Bangkok University, now changed to the Nawamintara Thirat University. And he was found guilty. And basically, that was the case that they mentioned there.
And this has been long ongoing investigation, right?
Yeah, so it's after, like I said, it was after 2 years, and that's why finally the case has been finalized, and he was going to be punished, and a higher ranking of the officials did come out to say that they are going to do something about it. They're not just going to leave it as it is.
All right.
Okay, so you were wondering what was gone.
Right.
And it turns out that things that were gone from, it was actually from the...
He's probably borrowed it.
From the university, okay?
Right.
Such as maybe...
A
They say a car.
Maybe he used it. I bet he borrowed it.
And then he was planning to return it. There were also some, speakers.
That makes sense. Chairs,
Was that
tables,
possible?
food for the guest.
Hold on.
Well, obviously that's no longer a borrowing if you can't return food for the guest.
Yeah. So basically, he was assuming that since he's the dean, it's possible for him to maybe ask his staff to help him out.
Sometimes
borrow
you
some
can do
things.
that, and if you don't force them to do it, I'm pretty sure that they would love to lend out a hand. But obviously, in this time, I guess not everyone voluntarily want to help him out with his daughter's wedding.
That's
why
right,
it's
that's
a problem. Okay, interesting. All interesting news here. Moving on to another news. This one, Kun Bo, you might have heard before about the referee shooting, but it was just way back a little bit. Kun Thanom Barikut, the referee, or we called him as Pao Nom. Apparently, in this particular case, yesterday, the police were able to take the culprit or the shooter into the scene and reenact all the crime. It took about 30 minutes for them to do it. A lot of people were actually look around for it. However, they say that in this particular case, Kun Go Sin, Si Nuan Khan, only 19, was the one that was there at the time with the police to reenact. In this particular case, though, not the Kun Go Sin, the 19 years old, but another major suspect is the Sergeant Major Sirisak Jadleung, or Sergeant Major Leung. They say that according to Kun Gosin Si Nuan Khan and Kun Sukhum Dang Gunwanit, the two culprits that were arrested already, saying that actually Kun Sukhum is still, the police still looking, had the arrest warrant for him already, but they're still looking for him. But according to Kun Gosin, who arrested right now and reenact the crime, he said that it was Sergeant Major Sirisak or Sergeant Major Leung who hired both of them. Altogether is about 100,000 baht to actually hire them to do this job. Kun Gosin said that he received 30,000 baht He's a driver or the rider of the motorcycle itself that used to do this particular shooting. However, Kun Sukkum, which is still at large, give him only 30,000 baht, and the rest is probably gave it to the owner of the motorcycle itself, and the others just keep for himself. So all in all, overall, they claim that it was the Sergeant Major Sirisak. However, Sergeant Major Sirisak went to see the police yesterday and, of course, denied all the allegations against him. He said that he did not do it, but at this point, the police will have to look and try to find another culprit that's still at large, which is Kun Sukkum, Dang Kunwanit, and hopefully they will shed some light into this. But overall, Sergeant Major Leung is still denying being the mastermind behind the whole thing. But at least they have some lead into this particular case.
Okay. Well, finally, after I previewed a little bit
Yeah.
earlier before about the particular case of the ex-shooter of the national team, and in particular his wife. At the moment, it seems like there have been several times that she was asked to go and meet the police,
Yeah.
talk to the police, and it turns out that she wasn't really going to these meetings. And it turns out that she came out to say that she is very stressful. And
Of course,
she,
I would be too.
Right, and she basically said that that's why she is maybe on a vacation in a way to move away from all of the stress,
Right.
and also came out to deny a rumor saying that she's actually pregnant with
There's
another
so many
baby.
rumors,
There's
right?
lots of rumors. I think things will definitely be occurring since she's not there to give any information. So anyone can say anything, and that's one of
True.
the rumors that came out, and she has come out to deny about that. Now, just more details, by the way, coming from the police in particular. They have said and mentioned about the case and the shooter and everything surrounding it. And they come down to the conclusion that it might be the motivation, or the motive might be that it is an internal kind of conflict between the couple, right? And at the moment, of course, the shooter is still at large, but the police say that they are hoping that before New Year's they will be able to capture. They're hoping, right? Before
That's very
New Year's.
hopeful.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
Actually, it's not that bad considering the fact that this is just the beginning of November.
Yes.
They still have December, so 2 months.
Yes,
That's
and
not so bad.
I guess I'm not sure if the CCTV has been as much of help for them or not. I mean, since the beginnings of the news about the shooting, we did see that lots of the focus was on the fact that, okay, it was captured on CCTV.
Right.
We have the footage. Now we're definitely going to be able, to get a lot of details and information of the shooter from that. But still, bottom line at the moment, the latest update is that before New Year's, that's what they hope they will be able to basically,
And on behalf of everyone, I think that I would like to know the whole story too, because I think at this point it's not only create quite a bit of nuisance as well as disheartening situation for the wife. Don't forget he has children as well, and if their mother is not very happy and accused of perhaps have something to do with their father's killing, then the children suffer the most. Plus, Kun Jakrit's parents are actually quite sad as well due to this incident. It's almost like it's become such a big mess, especially when it's smeared into on the television and in the media and such, because you have to listen to it every day on a daily basis. So the victims' families and relatives suffer the most.
And just to mention, in the case, of course, we also saw that, in the black Porsche that was in the scene, right? They found the evidence, I guess a little bit more evidence about this small tape recorder.
Oh.
Yeah, that was inside that belonged to X there. And they say that it was from someone that was close to him. And there was a witness who came out to give some testimony saying that, there were some of the conversations that was recorded in there. But it turns out that there were lots of the files some of the files that were deleted. So I guess they're still investigating about, what's going on there. It's possible that somebody took it before and quickly deleted it and put it back in a way before, or quickly did that before
I feel
fleeing
like
the
I'm
scene.
watching CSI or something.
Right? It turns out that there's small details, being added every single time. But that is still a good thing. I mean, that means that there's progress and there's updates.
Still hopes. All right, moving on very quickly to another news. There has been a report, like I have mentioned earlier, before we before we go for the short break. We went to the short break. Now, there has been a report that the protesting in terms of para-rubber price as well as the palm oil price seems to be escalated a little bit. Don't forget, this is the 6th consecutive days already. This will be the 7th day that they are protesting, closing down the road around the Bang Sapan Noi district of Prachuap Khiri Khan province, creating quite a bit of problem. Yesterday, Kun Phai mentioned a little bit about the side road that were pretty much destroyed at this point because they say that all the vehicles will have to detour and using this particular route. And it's turned out that it's 30 times more than they used for normal situation because normally this is not a main road. So it creates quite a bit of a problem. There's a group of 380 people at least that went into the Bang Sapan district office and tried to protest that. But one of the most disturbing news that came out yesterday is the fact that at noon, the police got a tip-off talking about a possibility of bombs planted in terms around the railways. As you can see there, this took place in the Ban Ma Rong rail station along the area. They say that they found a dynamite about half a kilos that normally used to destroy rocks and such. When I guess if you in a mountainous area, sometimes you try to tear down the mountains or create a passage, you can use this. And they say that if it's exploded, it actually could be destroying over 500 meters perimeters in the area, and it is a remote control type that could use cell phone to ignite it. And they say that along the area there's a note wrote down that since you disregard or you see that the para-rubber farmers has no meaning and we cannot get 100 baht per kilogram, and this would be it. So pretty much a threat note, but the police still do not rule out that this might be a third party trying to instigate violence a little bit more and implicate it onto the para-rubber farmers themselves. So all in all, they were able to confiscate the dynamite and nothing serious happened. The railway is still intact. But at this point, it seems like the para-rubber farmers led by Kun Thosapon Kwanrod also said that they are going to increase the situation more if Kun Yukon Lim Lam Thong, who is the agriculture and agricultural minister, will not come in and talk to them, the agriculture minister.
Okay.
So we're going to have to wait and see whether or not this is going to be bad. Moving on to one last news before we go to a break. Now, there has been quite a bit of a report about the flooding.
Yes.
Of course, Kun Palada, Kun Bo, I'm trying to keep
We're
switching.
kind of used to that, aren't
Exactly.
we? Okay, well, just to mention about the flooding that is still ongoing, but this one in particular, I don't know, it's a little bit good news.
Improvement.
Improvement, yes. Water has been said to be receding in the Pit Mai sub-district, but not in the City Hall area. They say that it's still up 30 to 40 centimeters high. And apart from that, in the agricultural areas or the agricultural lands here, it's actually as high as 1 to 1.5 meters.
That's high.
That's high. So I guess it's only receding in the Pit Mai sub-district, like I said. Now, in the meantime, as for some of the water that's flowing through the Buriram province, it's been going down 30 centimeters as well. Some of the fields there have actually dried up already, so that's good news. And apart from that, they say that the water that could be coming from Nakhon Ratchasima province, hopefully, it will not be adding up or affecting area. Excuse me. Okay. Anyways, just to move on a little bit to the Prachinburi province, the level of the water is going down a bit, receding. But in the Bansang sub-district or Ampere Bansang here, it's still pretty much quite flooded.
Bansang got quite a bit of flood situation in
Yes,
their
that's
area.
right. And it's still a little bit high in their banks there. And they are thinking that it would take around 2 months until everything will be
Back to normal, right?
actually.
I hope that they will get a little bit more dry New Year to
Okay.
celebrate. Now with that, let's take another short break, Kun Bo, because after we come back, the anticipating news. Yesterday, the big gathering or demonstration that led by the Democrat Party in Sam Sen area. And of course, Kun Bo will have a little bit update of the whole indictment and such against Kun Apisit and Kun Suthep. So please stay tuned.